Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the ESS podcast. I'm here with a special guest today.
Hey folks, how's it going?
All right, for a little bit of context, about a year ago, me and Alec, or the SideQuest Gamer, did a podcast discussing the Killers, and they've recently released 2 new albums, so we decided that'd be a good time to go through and discuss both of them, and we're going to start with Imploding the Mirage today.
Yeah, I still have to listen to the 7th album. I only had time to listen to Imploding the Mirage, but I'll be able to listen to Pressure Machine real soon, because from what I hear, it's a nice return to form with Mark Stormer back on bass and Dave Kooning finally back in the studio and contributing guitar work to them. And I think Imploding the Mirage is perfect to cover for this, to contrast with Pressure Machine, because Imploding the Mirage was notable for the absence of Dave Kooning.
Yeah, I think in the last podcast we recorded it before the release of Imploding the Mirage. I think it was, by the time we recorded it, they only released 2 singles.
Yeah.
But by the time I got out, I think it was after the release of the album. I'm not sure, I can't remember. We only gave brief thoughts based off of what was released so far from the album. And now that we have the whole thing on release, we could go ahead and do a track by track kind of thing on it.
Yeah, I listened to it again last night, and because time has passed, I think the recency bias is pretty much gone, and we can actually talk about the album for what it is and what it will be for all time, at least from our limited perspectives, Yeah, we're only human.
Yeah, sometimes it can help to get some distance from something to view it. I'm trying to think of the word, objectively is the word that comes to mind. I don't know if that's the best one to use in this situation.
I mean, from I prefer from the outside looking in. Actually, no, that's not it. We are in the Killers fan base. We are the victims. Yeah. I just found out, by the way, that the Killers fan base is called The Victims. I had no idea for the longest time. I went through 10 years of being part of the fan base and not knowing that, so...
Yeah. So
that's funny.
A bit of background on the album. I think it was announced either late 2019 or early 2020, somewhere around there. And then they released...
Yeah.
I think they released Caution in March. And it was originally going to be released in May of 2020, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it was delayed to August.
Yeah.
And I think they ended up releasing 4 singles from it. I believe they are Caution, Fire and Bone, My Own Soul's Warning, and Dying Breed.
Yep.
And like you said earlier, it's notable for the absence of guitarist Dave Kooning.
Yeah, and I did some research into that. It's they wanted to record with him and all that, but he was doing his own solo stuff and was I can't remember where he was. He was I'm not sure if he was in Vegas or something like that, but he just didn't want to leave the area he was in. And he even said if they were recording sessions in the area he was around, he would have been willing to go out there and do some contributions and whatnot. But he just he didn't really know. He just was rather uncertain whether he wanted to do that because he just was kind of burnt out from touring and recording and all that. He wanted to do his own solo stuff, and since then, as of 2021, he released his 2nd solo album. I can't remember what it was called, but I listened to a bit of it. It's the singles are very promising. Well, not singles. I don't think he released them as singles, but he released them on his YouTube channel, and they were pretty good. They're very 80s inspired.
Yeah, and that makes Imploding the Mirage as the 2nd album where Dave was unavailable, but luckily he did return for Pressure Machine.
I'm pretty sure. I think that's I might have accidentally made that mistake. I'm pretty sure he was in the Wonderful Wonderful sessions in a limited capacity. I don't think he toured with them, but I'm pretty sure he contributed because all the articles were stating that Imploding the Mirage was the first album he was not really a part of the recording process of.
Yeah, you might be right on that. I think I might be mistaken. I think he probably was available for parts of
Yeah,
Wonderful
he
Wonderful.
did. He was he co-wrote Rut,
Yeah.
and there's like but yeah, it's definitely a lot more limited than it used to be. But
Basically, so how about we get back into the tracks by now, starting with
yeah, I'm
my
sorry
own.
about that.
Yeah, no, it's fine. My Own Soul's Warning, the opening
Yeah.
track.
It's it kind of sounds like Caution. It's like that's how I felt when it was like the third single release, since Caution was the first. But we had two tracks that's very upbeat, very introspective, very kind of philosophical in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
it's
Killers.
just like
Something I've noticed about the Killers is that I tend to gravitate a lot towards the opening tracks. Like, if you look at my list of favorites, every opening track thus far has been on there.
yeah. It's not the
And
first or second for me. I mean, that's usually the case with these concept albums they come out with. They try to like introduce you to the sound of it. Like, what was it? Sam's Town had Interlude, or was it like I can't. It was like I can't remember what it was.
yeah, I think Sam's Tower starts with the title track, then went to interlude.
Yeah. Oh right. Okay. I think yes, I see the track listing now. Yeah.
Yeah. As for My Own Soul's Warning, I did put it on my list of favorites when I did my favorites list last year, but it might have gone down a tad bit in my estimation of it. But I still really like the song.
Yeah. I don't think really that any of this like songs on Imploding the Mirage really stand with the very best content they've put out there. I mean, Caution came pretty close, but I don't know. It's just something about this. It feels like a callback to their olden days, but it feels like a callback to classic experiences rather than a standout new experience.
Yeah, it's like trying to think of a way to describe it. It's like I feel like it's a good opening track. It helps set the stage for the album,
Yeah.
and
And it
definitely,
reintroduces the synth rock kind of style that the Killers is known for.
yeah. I feel like the opening is pretty effective. It's very like with the synth build up and Brandon singing the lyrics from the chorus
Yeah.
before like it kind of like trying to think of the word before it kind of like brings in the rest of the band. It's a pretty
Yeah.
effective opening.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the following track, Blowback, this one's probably my least favorite track. I don't know, just like for the second track, it's kind of forgettable. I don't know what it is exactly, but I mean, it started all funky and shit like that. You can really clearly hear Mark Stormer's bass guitar in there, but it's like something about it just doesn't really grab me. Maybe the chorus is just not as memorable as it should be. And Brandon has a very powerful voice, so if the chorus doesn't grab you, it's just like, what else is there other than the catchy guitar hooks here and there?
I really like Blowback. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites from the album, but I still really enjoy the track.
Maybe it'll grow on me over time. Who knows?
I remember I read somewhere that it's about somebody trying to break a cigarette addiction, or at least that's one of the themes of the song. I found that interesting. It might be another song about Brandon's wife, because he does tend to write a lot of songs about her. And he did that a lot with Wonderful Wonderful, and that it's not as prevalent as Imploding the Mirage, but it does appear every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have the lyrics pulled up now, and it's probably... I think there's one lyric that I'm trying to think of. Oh, it's like... Oh, no, it's not here. Never mind. I think I was remembering something else. I'm trying to think. I can't... My brain's not working. I can't think of the word, the way I want to describe it. I think it's a pretty decent song. I do return to it, and I enjoy it. I really like the outro of it. I believe that's a good final note to end off on for that song, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it does have kind of like that haunting like choir in the background. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Then
Very
next,
angelic, you
yeah,
know.
next is Dying Breed, which
Oh, dude,
yeah, that's one of
this one
my
I did not give enough credit for. You know,
yeah,
it's like
Dying.
the beginning. It's just like the drums just like, all right, where's this leading to? But then it's like then you get to the middle of it, it just builds up to this explosive kind of fun instrumental part. You know, just like,
Yeah.
well, it's not completely instrumental. There's lyrics, obviously, but
Yeah, this is easily one of my favorites in on the entire album. I remember when I made my list last year, I only gave Dying Breed an honorable mention, and I regret that. I feel like it deserves a place on the list.
definitely,
Yeah, it's like
it's so much fun. You know,
yeah, it's like
and it's like lyrics are really good too.
yeah, it's a good dancey song. It's like a good song you just throw on and turn on max volume, just vibe out to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially like when
and
the final part comes in, like it goes like full force. It's like this is one of those songs where like I can only like, imagine how great it would be to listen to it live.
yes, exactly. Because like instrumentally, it could be all done on stage. You know, even the synth can be done on stage. But it's like, and like just hearing the crowd react to it, that'd be really cool to hear.
Yeah,
But
I've
thing
seen
about Dying Breed is like kind of reflects a more maturity in the creative process for the band. Yeah, it's definitely like a lot different than what came before. Yet kind of similar at the same time.
yeah I've yeah, going back to what we said about the live performances. I've seen live performances of it on YouTube, and it's pretty cool. But it's like
Yeah,
I think it'd still be something else to experience it live personally.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that song
Some
is
songs just sound better live. You know.
yeah. Dying Breed's like it might be my favorite from Imploding the Mirage at the moment. I don't know,
I
like
think so too. Like mine used to be like Caution or something like that, or My God. But I don't know. I just think Dying Breed has just consistently been like a 8.5 or 9 out of 10 song, like the only one on this album.
yeah. I think I've kind of been kind of like really into Dying Breed recently. I've been like kind of obsessed with it. So maybe in a while when like that dies down a bit, it
Hmm.
it'd still be one of my favorites from the album, but I don't know if I would consider it my one favorite. But for the time being, like, it's probably my favorite from the album right now.
Yeah, it's like I can see why they released it as their final single.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just like it's a great one to end off on, even though it's only like the fourth track in the album.
yeah. The next song is another one of my favorites from the album, "Caution," which is the first
Yeah,
song they released. And that's a
yeah,
good. I think that's a good first impression to give of the album.
definitely.
Yeah, the song is it. "Caution" is like really really good.
It has a great instrumental like build up to it, and it's just like, and just like the echoing of caution in
Yeah,
the beginning is like so epic. I'm like, oh god, Killers is back. Killers is freaking back,
yeah.
baby. This is the Killers I knew, not that wonderful BS. Although I've warmed up a little bit on the album, even if it's still my least favorite of their discography.
Yeah, "Caution" is like it does sound like a mixture of a lot of like old school Killer stuff. Like I could hear like elements of like Day and Age and Hot Fuss and Sam's Town in there, while also like incorporating like a lot of the new stuff that they introduced with Wonderful Wonderful into it.
Yeah, and Brandon's still writing about some random girl living in the middle of nowhere in the U.S.
Yeah, I love the lyrics in "Caution." It's like probably some of the best lyrics ever. It's like absolutely
Yeah,
it's absolutely poetic. The storytelling it is just brilliant.
yeah,
Like if it like honestly like I'm kind of tempted to just quote the whole thing start to finish.
yeah, so am I. You know, it's like I don't know. It's also kind of like makes references to like aspirations of something better than just being in the middle of nowhere. You know, let me introduce you to the featherweight queen. She's got
Yeah.
Hollywood eyes, but you can't shoot what she's seen. It's like That's interesting. That could be interpreted in so many different ways. It's hard to know where to start, but I don't know. It just seems like a character talked about in this like song is just frustrated by their situation.
Yeah, I love the opening lyric. The "Let me introduce you to the featherweight queen." I don't know what it is, but something about it is just so perfect. Like the way that like it introduces the story.
Yeah.
Also, love the bit from the chorus is like, "If I don't get out of this town, I just might be the one who finally burns it down."
Yes,
I think a part of
the
like
sociopathic kind of like thought process of something we wouldn't actually do, but it's like, if I'm stuck here, I'm just gonna kill everyone. Yeah. It's pissing me off so much,
I think Brandon's delivery on it like really helps emphasize it as well.
I mean, with like the powerful chorus, it's perfect lyric placement for that.
And the last, I think the last lyric I want to quote is like from the bridge. It's like, because it's some kind of sin to live your whole life on a might have been.
Yes, that's
wow.
I'm holy crap.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot more to say about this because this is the one I probably listened to the most. Mainly because this was like the only song available for the longest time that wasn't Fire and Bone.
I think like that. For the lyric from the bridge, I think like a part of the reason why it resonates with me so much, like a part of it is like because I'm a very anxious person and I deal with anxiety a lot, and one of the things like it kind of manifests is like a lot of past regrets of like things I could have done differently.
Yes.
But sometimes like telling myself that lyric is like it kind of helps me like put that at ease, so it really helps with those anxieties and those feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the guitar solo at the end is incredible. That's just something else.
Yeah, and that wasn't Dave Kooning. That was, I believe, wasn't it Lindsey Sterling who did that? I can't remember.
I think it was the Fleetwood Mac guitarist. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Lindsey Sterling.
I think...
not Lindsey Sterling. I'm sorry, Buckingham.
Yeah, I was about to say...
Sterling's a violinist on YouTube. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Well, they have the same first name, so it's like easy mistake to make.
Yeah, that's crazy, but
that's a great guitar solo. It's one of the highlights of the song. Well, I would say that just about every second of Caution is a highlight of the song.
Yeah,
like every second of it is absolutely perfect, I would say.
Yeah, so much so it's like when the beginning track that was released as the third single, My Own Soul's Warning, kind of felt a little too similar to Caution, but not nearly as powerful. I mean, lyrical content is obviously different, of course, but instrumentally kind of felt like a similar pop, like synth rock kind of song.
Yeah, like Caution is like probably one of the most like powerful songs on the album in terms of like the musical composition, the lyrics, and like the performance of all the band members. It's just like everything clicks into place and it creates like a perfect track.
Yeah,
and this is like I think this became like a Killer's fan favorite the second it came out because it's just so damn good.
I mean, it's definitely my top 20 so far.
I can't remember where I put it specifically on my list. It might be in a different place now that some time has passed since I made that. But it's still definitely on there.
Yeah.
The next track, we have Lightning Fields, featuring Katie Lang.
Yep. And I'll be honest, I didn't care for it at first, but listening to it till last night, I'm just thinking, like, it's kind of atmospheric. It's very different from what the rest of the album sounds like.
Yeah, I think I like this song I think I liked just about everything on Imploding the Mirage as soon as I heard it the first time, and I got the same thing with Lightning Fields. It's another, I don't know, it's not as powerful as Caution, I don't think, but it's still a really effective song in terms of like the storytelling and the music and everything about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like Dust Line Fairy Tale, where it's like Brandon singing about his parents again. I think the whole thing is told from his dad's perspective, and he's talking about his wife, because I think Brandon's mom passed away, and that's like the whole story of the album is like his dad's like he wants to be with her again.
Yeah.
It's kind of emotional.
That honestly makes sense,
Yeah, it's like it's kind of emotional in a lot of ways when you think about it. It's kind of bittersweet because there's that sadness in like, well, she's gone, but there's also like it still kind of like has that sense of like everything's okay because like Katie Lang's part in the bridge, that's kind of like it's kind of like her from heaven telling her is like, oh, it's all okay. It's like she's like, that's a great contribution that she gives to the song.
Well, that'll explain a lot. It's just like, especially like people kind of undersell the religious inspiration to Brandon's songwriting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like that plays a part in a lot of their music. Like My Own Soul's Warning, especially, there's a lot of religious undertones in that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be even religious. It could be just interpreted as spiritual. It's written in a vague kind of sense.
Yeah. And like Lightning Fields, there's something about the music that kind of makes it sound like you're like going into a storm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thundering sound effects in the beginning kind of convey that, but I'll take it.
Yeah,
but it's just like a lot of it sounds very, it kind of echoey. It's just like it helps kind of sell the atmosphere a little more. And the melancholic kind of composition itself, it's just like it all harmonizes with that.
Yeah, so Lightning Fields is a pretty good track, and I really dig it. I think it tells like a really emotional story, and it hits it on the nail with that. And the Katie Lang's contribution to it was a great collaboration overall.
Definitely, and this like goes to my next point. It's just like Imploding The Mirage is a collaboration-heavy kind of album, and I initially kind of rolled my eyes at that, thinking just like, oh, they're just collaborating to hide the fact that Dave Kooning is not there, but, this honestly kind of feels like an honest-to-God collaboration, not someone just fills in, but rather brings their own flavor, not to replace Dave Kooning or anything like that, but rather just add their own flavor to the song, to kind of co-write something new, something only that can be experienced only once.
All right.
I
think next we got Fire and Bone, which is a track that needs some time to grow on me personally, and I think that might be a way for a lot of people.
You're not wrong. I listened to it once. I'm like, oh, this is an interesting visualizer with those weird flamingos just bopping their heads. I'm like, okay. But now I really like the bass. I want to learn the bass line someday.
This is
like
pretty funky bass line.
Yeah, but it's not like disco or anything like that. There's more genres of music than disco that are bass dominant.
I remember putting Fire and Bone on my favorites list, and looking back on it now, I don't know if I'd put it that high, but still a good highlight from Imploding the Mirage.
I'd say it's a mid-tier ranking track for me personally, but the chorus does like elevate the song a little bit.
Yeah, I think the chorus is probably the best part. It's like it's probably easily the highlight of the song, but I still really like the the funky bass groove and the overall like message and tone of the song. I feel is like conveyed pretty strongly.
Yeah, definitely. Like I originally just kind of dismissed it as being too simple, but not really, I
especially really like. I think there's the lyric is like, I felt tempest tossed at seasick, and there's that weird distortion effect that they put on it, which I really like.
Yeah,
it sounds pretty cool. Speaking
it's
of
very
lyrics,
dreamlike, especially like in the latter half of the song.
And it also continues the killer's strange obsession with bones.
Yep.
This is a favorite one.
Well, will they ever shut the hell up about bones?
I think this is the fourth Bone song they've released.
I'm just waiting for their 8th album. Bones, bones, and more bones. A lot of bones. Here's all the bones you want. We're freaking archaeologists.
Like, out of all the Bone songs that they have released, which one do you think is the best one?
I might say like Them Bones by Alice in Chains. I'm kidding. Well, that's a good song though, but different artist. Anyways, I might be partial to this one. I never really cared for like Bones from Samstown. It's just never really. It's always one of my like lesser favorites like tracks in that album.
For me, I'd probably have to go with Flesh and Bone for my favorite Killer's Bone song.
Oh yeah, forgot about that one. That's like my favorite opening track in the all of the Killer's discography.
Yeah, I think I really enjoy Bones from Sam's Town, but if I were to rank all the Bones songs, I feel like my Bones would probably go in the bottom because I don't really remember that one that much. Fire and Bone and Bones, not really sure how I would rank those two, but which one I would put above the other might just depend on the mood, but I'd probably put one of those next and Fire and Bone Flesh and Bone on top.
Alright, someday I want to collaborate with you. We're going to make a top 10, like, ranking all the bone-related killer songs from best to worst. We're freaking doing this. Season 28 of SQG Review Show.
Alright, so next is Running Towards a Place. Which might be one of my least favorites on the album, but that's not really saying all that much because it's still a pretty good track, I would say.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, nothing really hooks me into the song, really. It's just, like, starts and finishes.
I remember I don't really have that much to say about Running Towards a Place, other than, like, I think it sounds cool.
Yeah. I mean, and the lyrics itself, reading them now, is just, like, kind of poetic, you know. Can you find heaven in a wildflower, hold it in the palm of your hand, the moment we met, burst like a star. You know, that kind of stuff you expect from Brandon, but it's just, like, still cool, you know. But in execution, it just doesn't really hit the way it should, you know.
I do really like the guitar part. I think the guitar part is pretty good.
Oh, definitely. I think that was one of not Dave Cooney, Mark Stormer, the bassist, like, he did some of the guitar work for this album, you know, like, I think rhythm guitar, and not really lead guitar. Let's see. Running Towards a Place, I can't seem to find it. I'm pretty sure, I'll look at the staffing. Okay, that was not him, I don't think.
Alright.
Yeah, this is Running Towards a Place's track 7, I believe, or track 8.
I think it's 7.
Oh yeah, but I think that is him then. That's.
After that, we have My God featuring Way's Blood, and I hope I'm saying that name correctly.
And I really like this song. It's another well done collaboration.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Way's Blood outside the song, but she has an incredible vocal range.
I was like very surprised by it. I'm like, wait, Brandon allows other people to sing with him that isn't like just backup.
Yeah, I think lyrically it's a very interesting song. I don't know if it's like. I think if we're judging the songs on Imploding the Mirage based off of lyrical content, I feel that Caution is probably going to come out on top of that, but My God still has some pretty decent lyrics regardless.
Yeah, a lot of people, it's like, and it's not even like the entire song, you know, it's just like the bass line's kind of faint, more faint than other songs, but it's kind of good, you know.
There's also that strange instrument that plays at the beginning. I have no idea what it is, but it sounds cool.
Yeah. But, jeez, I guess, like, Mark Stormer's really pulling, like, the entire album together with his bass work and occasional guitar work when he has to. I think this is another one of his songs, wasn't it? It's, like, track 8, I believe.
I'm not sure. I think, like, My God's another, like, super dancey track. You just turn it on, max volume, just jam out to it.
And like the chorus is really good.
Yeah,
it's like, holy crap, it all comes together. It's like so exciting.
And then after that we have When the Dreams Run Dry.
Yeah,
which is another strong highlight of the album.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a slow down, fizzled kind of track after the excitement of My God.
Yeah, I remember there's one lyric, I think it's like after the first chorus when they just shout like, "We're all gonna die." Yeah. I imagine I wish I could still remember how it felt to hear that for the first time, because I really can't, but still, like, probably one of my favorite parts of the song, just like when they shout that out of nowhere.
And it's like 1/3 of the way there, just like the song really kicks in, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I like this. I really like where this is going. This is exciting now.
Yeah.
Know?
I think like this song is about death in a lot of ways, but more of like viewing it in a optimistic light, not more of like a, well, I've done everything I need to. It's time to go, kind of way.
Yeah. It's also kind of vague, It could be rather pessimistic, Reach for the summit of an ancient design, on the verge of eternal, on the heels of divine. If you stumble and fall, if you stumble and fall, if the way can't be found, that chorus. Was that a bridge? I can't remember.
I think it might be the bridge.
Yeah, but that part, I'm like, oh, jeez. For context, when I listen to these songs, I listen to them on YouTube Music. So, and even though that's risk compression streaming, but I can pull up the lyrics on the side, and it's just like read them while I'm listening, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I think I really like the second verse. It sounds what they're talking about, like we're talking about like it's like we'll be the birds down to Acapulco Bay or Honolulu on hearsay. Yeah. It sounds like super like tropical is the word that I use to describe it.
Tropical?
Yeah, I don't know. It makes sense in my mind when I listen to the song.
I was going to say, I thought you meant topical, but I'm like...
Tropical.
Tropical.
Yeah.
I can kind of see that. I'd say whimsical would be more appropriate, personally.
Yeah, this is probably like another highlight from Imploding the Mirage, and probably one of the more higher ranking tracks for me personally.
Definitely.
We have the final track, Imploding the Mirage, which a lot of people have said it's one of the weaker tracks on the album, and I suppose to an extent that's true, but...
It is, because it doesn't bring anything new to the table. Not necessarily, you just hear... hear the familiar drum beat and all that.
Yeah, well, now that we're like at the end of the album, I guess I could say that... Personally, I don't think there's really any duds on Imploding the Mirage. I like every track on it. So, by saying that Imploding the Mirage...
I'm sorry.
Yeah. By saying that Imploding the Mirage is one of the weaker ones, it's like, well, that is... I do think that's true to an extent, but it's still a really good song. Like, if this is one of the weaker songs on the album, that's a pretty good album.
Yeah, for me personally, like, I only ranked it slightly higher than Wonderful Wonderful initially, because like to me it all kind of sounded the same, and I'm just like, I not only listened to it for the singles, but listening to it a few times, especially last night, it was kind of transformative. I no longer hype this album up as I used to, and as a standalone piece, it's definitely the Killers' collaborative album. Where like there's 4 tracks where they collaborated with other artists and things like that, and just like it really worked. It still sounds like the Killers, just kind of venturing out into new territory while staying within the familiar bounds of their work.
Yeah.
And I guess for a concept album, it's like Imploding the Mirage was like not really highly revered by the fan base, mainly because it doesn't sound like their usual closer track that's all, kind of stripped down, kind of, a lot more quieter, a lot slower paced or anything like that. This Imploding Mirage final track is kind of just like, sounds like something you can dance to, really,
Yeah. I feel like that, the title track of it is, I'd say it's a good final note to end on. I don't know if, like, I can't really think of any other track that would have been more fitting for the closing track of the album.
Yeah. So, having listened to all of them several times recently, I'm comfortable in saying Imploding the Mirage as an overall album is a welcome back. It's like a return to form with the Killers, kind of. I mean, I can still feel the absence of Dave Kooning. He had a very specific guitar playing style that is kind of the main appeal of the Killers, but even without him, they were still creative enough. I'd still like to see him return, and he did return in the follow-up album.
Yeah.
So, all in all, I'd say it's their 4th best album. I'd rank it underneath like Hot Fuss, which is number 3, and number 2 would be like Battleborn, and number 1 being Sam's Town, of course.
Overall, I'm not entirely sure about the ranking of Imploding the Mirage yet. I haven't thought about it that much, and I do need to do so because I'm hoping to at some point in the future to make a re-ranking of the Killers album at some point. But that's something that I'll have to put more thought into. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it at the time being because there's other stuff that I would like to work on first.
Yeah.
But as for Imploding the Mirage, the first impression I got when I listened to the album is that it's everything that Wonderful Wonderful should have been, honestly.
Exactly. Still captures the themes of middle America, aspiring to be better, and gets very spiritual at times.
Yeah, and the thing about Wonderful Wonderful is that I don't strongly dislike the album, but I still acknowledge its flaws. In Imploding the Mirage, it takes everything that worked about Wonderful Wonderful and carries it over and improves on the flaws of Wonderful Wonderful and delivers what I consider to be a pretty good album. And I remember really loving Imploding the Mirage when it first came out, and I still really like the album. I think the excitement of it has died down a tad bit in the time that I listened to it, but I still really enjoy the hell out of it. I remember because the last time I felt that way about a Killers album was for Battleborn, and I absolutely love Battleborn. It's my favorite Killers album. So that should probably, if you're giving me similar feelings to what Battleborn has given me, then it's probably a sign that it's a good album, or at least an album that I would really enjoy.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, Battleborn, I'm not sure if it was 2020 or 2021 or something like that, but recently, not recently, but many months ago, during the fall, Battleborn turned, I believe, 8 years old. The album was or 9 years old. I can't remember.
I think
8 years old. This fall hasn't happened in 2021 yet.
I think it turns 10 years old next year.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
I feel old, but
which is yeah, which is crazy before you think about, because I remember. Well, I didn't listen to Battleborn when it came out in 2012, but I listened to it in 2013. But I still vividly remember 2012 like it was yesterday. So the fact that was 10 years ago is I can't. No.
Yeah. Battleborn, that was my jam back in high school when I had my iPod Generation 3.
I remember listening to that in middle school when it came out. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Way to make me feel old. But yeah, Imploding the Mirage, it's even without when it's missing one of the original members, it still managed to find a way to be a great album despite the absence of a key member.
Yeah, I think for our last podcast we did something where we talked about our most favorite track, or least favorite track, and most underrated track. And I wanted to carry that over and see what you would answer for each.
Yeah, that's a good idea, and I also like that system. You kind of got my Discord server talking about it for not just Killers albums, but just other albums like from Coldplay and things that we commonly listen to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what were the options again?
Most favorite, least favorite, and most underrated.
Alright, most favorite, Dying Breed. Least favorite, Blowback. And underrated, My God.
As for me, most favorite at the moment, Dying Breed, but that might change back to Caution. I don't know. But for right now, I'll go with Dying Breed. Least favorite, probably Running Towards a Place or Imploding the Mirage, but I don't dislike those songs. I still really like them. It's just that if I were to rank the album, they'd probably be the lowest.
Yeah.
As for most underrated,
it's like being the poorest millionaire.
Yeah.
Being the worst song on Killer's album is like being the poorest millionaire. You're still a freaking millionaire at the end of the day.
Yeah. As for most underrated, probably would have to go for When the Dreams Run Dry for that one.
All right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think there's also a special edition track. I think it's in French. I don't know how to pronounce it.
You talk about, did Jacques Leconte remix another track, or?
No, I think it's I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't speak French. I'll just copy paste it.
Oh, I took a few years of it. Talk about C'est la vie.
Oh yeah, that's probably what it's. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's a pretty out there and experimental track. I don't know if you heard it or not, but that one's pretty strange. I don't listen to it that often. And I think a part of it has to do with how weird it is.
Hold on. Oh wow, YouTube Music has a deluxe edition. All right.
Yeah.
C'est la vie. Okay.
I don't mind weird. Like Wonderful Wonderful was the title track was like really experimental and weird in a lot of ways, and I love Wonderful Wonderful. It's one of my favorite tracks by the Killers. But for the C'est la vie, however it's pronounced, I'm not French. I don't know.
It means it is the life.
Yeah, it is life. I don't dislike it, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't really click with me as much.
Yeah, I can see why it's like, I'm listening to it now for the first time. It doesn't really fit the rest of the album. I don't think it was intended to or anything.
I think there's also like, what's it called?
Yeah, there's the Wasatch style of caution.
Yeah, I enjoy listening to that every now and then. Obviously, it's not as powerful as the OG Caution, but I still enjoy that listen from time to time. Get a more like stripped down version of it.
Yeah, okay, this is kind of gelling with me. Kind of reminds me of the live concert they did from their hotel room or home. It was just Ronnie and Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing it live for like Good Morning America or the Today Show from their bathroom or something.
Yeah. Then there's the acoustic version of Blowback, which I like. I think I like that a lot. I don't like. I think you said that like Blowback is like your least favorite from Imploding the Mirage. So I don't know if you would ever seek it out or not. But personally, I really like Blowback, so I enjoy the acoustic version. I don't know. Maybe you might like the acoustic version more.
So far, I kind of do, Kind of like one of those solemn tracks, that's slower but more meaningful.
Yeah, listening to it in a different context might change your perception of it, maybe. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I think...
I wonder if I'll get hate comments for not liking this, like, the original track. So far, the Victims fan base hasn't really talked about this album. Whenever a discussion comes up, they usually talk about the first 4 albums.
Yeah.
While like fifth album, Imploding the Mirage, as well as Sawdust, is kind of never talked about unless there's a few exceptions, like All the Pretty Faces or something.
Yeah. I see some discussion about Sawdust occasionally when I go on the Killer subreddit.
Yeah. I kind of like frequent there sometimes. Yeah, that's right. I'm a Redditor. I probably fit the stereotype of one, too. Just spends his life looking at Reddit and arguing with random strangers.
I usually don't have that many negative experiences on Reddit.
I think it gets a little too much hate from people just go on the worst sections. Like, if you're going to the Sonic subreddit, you're going to have a bad time. If you're going to the Mega Man or Metroid subreddit, you're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Like there's like
mainly fan artists there just talk about their dead franchise and try to keep it alive and all that.
Yeah, there's obvious like there's definitely like some like toxic subreddits out there, but like the ones that I follow for the most part are pretty chill. So yeah,
awesome.
But that's kind of a tangent for another time. I think one last thing I want to discuss because we did the Killers podcast last year, and one thing that we forgot to mention was Land of the Free, and I kind of feel bad for talking about that. So if you wanted to talk about Land
I've
of the Free,
only listened to it once, and I don't remember being too impressed about it, other than I like that they're bringing awareness to an actual issue, but I think we should probably talk about that another time. Like, I don't want to get all political on this podcast, so we should like probably reserve that for a separate video or something like that, where we just talk about oddities and rarities, things that were never really released on studio albums.
Well, I think I can talk about like my feelings about Land of the Free without getting too political on it.
Sure thing.
Like personally, like I kind of have mixed feelings on the record, or the track, I should say, because I like the music. Like the music itself is pretty. pretty well done, I would say. And
Yeah.
I admire what the track is trying to go for, and like the message is trying to send.
Yeah.
But the fact it is very on the nose and preachy with what it's trying to do and trying to say, and I can see that turning a lot of people off from it. And that definitely is kind of like one of my points of contention with Land of the Free.
Yeah.
Like I don't think a message necessarily needs to be subtle to be good.
Oh, definitely not.
But in the way
it's like otherwise John Lennon would not have a career after the Beatles.
Yeah, but in the way that's done in the Land of the Free, it's kind of like I've heard someone describe it as the subtlety of a brick. But listening to tracks on Pressure Machine, which I don't know if you've listened to that yet or not, but it's like they do get to some more social political stuff on there, and I would say that it's done a lot better on Pressure Machine. So I think that I'm kind of inclined to believe that with Land of the Free, they made a deliberate creative decision to make it as blunt as possible, which I don't know.
Yeah.
I could see why they would want to do that, but I could see that turning a lot of people off from it because of that.
It's just like Land of the Free. It's like I love political music, and this doesn't really gel with me. It's like if you want an example of how to be the best way to go about it, something like Trouble in Town from Coldplay's 8th album is a great example. After a few listens, you realize it's about police brutality and all that, and it's instrumentally great. It just holds up well on its own, and you can't really. It's all around great. While Land of the Free, it's decent. I don't hate it or anything like that. I can understand why it's preachy, seen as preachy from others.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up Everyday Life as an example of it done well. I'd say.
Wow. Great minds think alike. Then again, you're the one responsible for turning me into a Coldplay fan, so thanks. Now I get bullied at work.
Is that a joke or does that actually happen?
Nah. Oh, I get I'm very open about my enjoyment of Coldplay's music, but my friend Heath, who's in his 50s, and he's he grew up in the 80s, was really into the metal scene. He can't stand Coldplay at all.
I remember my little brother's he doesn't dislike Coldplay, he likes a few handful of their songs, but he does he kind of has that sense of humor where he pretends to hate them. It's oh, they suck, just kind of to annoy me, kind of.
Yeah.
I think most people in my social group genuinely tend to like Coldplay, so I don't have that problem.
Then you choose your friends wisely.
Yeah. But overall, we are gonna do another one of these podcasts for Pressure Machine. Don't know when that will happen. We'll have to get this one out first.
Yeah, I'd probably like to wait a week before I do that because I could listen to it tonight and then just be like, EB, we gotta do a podcast tomorrow. It's gonna be great. Because I listened to it once or something. I albums are best written about when you've had time to think about them.
Yeah, I've listened to Pressure Machine a few times, but it hasn't sunk in completely yet, so it's probably best to give it some time for it for me to get a little more familiar with it before I make a podcast on it.
Yeah, all I do know is that Chris Martin of Coldplay shared top 10 songs he's been listening to, and it's I think Pressure Machine, the titular track, was amongst one of his recommendations.
Yeah.
And I also saw Hideo Kojima on Twitter just showing what he was listening to at the time. It was the Pressure Machine album, so it didn't really get the advertising Imploding The Mirage seemed to get. I don't know, it kind of flew on my radar where when it came out, I'm like, it came out already? I'm not complaining, but holy crap, this is awesome.
Yeah, I think I would also like to do another one of these for when Music of the Spheres from Coldplay comes out in October.
Yes. I already pre-ordered it.
I think I'm gonna wait until it comes out in October.
Yeah, it's I was not going to pre-order it, but then I heard Color Ultra or something like that, and I'm I hope the rest of the album's like that.
All right, do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
Yes, stay in school, don't do drugs, and listen to Imploding the Mirage.
Yes. All right, so I think that's it for today's podcast. Hopefully, we'll come back for Pressure Machine, and in the future, we'll do another one for Music of the Spheres when that comes out. And
Sweet.
it was great to have you as a guest yet again.
It's great to be here.
Yeah. All right, so that's all for me for today. So come by next time. Can't wait to see you there. Until then, EB out.
Alright, see ya.